Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Living with Keisha. So today we did these beautiful brows today. So make sure to stay tuned for the finishing and final look. First things first, we did wash our brows with the eyebrow soap. I prefer to wash with my nails instead of a spoolie just because I feel like I can actually get there how I want to get there. Then we wiped them off. This is what her brows look like after. This is why I always say it's important to make for sure you do wash the brows properly so they can have a fresh canvas. Then we primed her lashes with the primer. Then we moved on to step one. Step one, we did the eyebrow lifting cream, and that's just to make for sure that the brows are properly lifted like they're supposed to be. During this time, I'm focusing on making for sure her hairs are no more curly hairs in there and also easy to brush through. So once we did that, I applied the saran wrap. I did leave this on for 12 minutes total. Originally, I was going to leave it on there for about 10 minutes, 8 minutes at the most. But I did notice that her brows were not picking up as quick as I was hoping they were to pick up. So we did put the saran wrap back over it. Also, note, you do want to make for sure that you do clean the brows up as you're seeing me do here, just so you're making for sure that the brows are not experiencing any, or the skin is not experiencing any irritation later on. So you'll see me apply the same cream that I just did on the right side. I'm going to do it on the left side. I will say also, make for sure that you take your time doing all of the steps. Don't be rushed or don't feel rushed just because one brow is going faster than the other brows. As far as what I mean by that is the time frame on it. Because we did do the right side first, the timer has already started, of course. So with the left side, the timer is going to be a little behind, but that's completely fine. As long as they come out the same that you did time frame wise in the final look, it's okay however you do it. I do notice that sometimes when I get to like step 2 or step 3, I do catch up to myself with both brows. So like I said, it's completely fine. One thing that I did notice that I do regret that I did not do beforehand was brushing the brows before I put the saran wrap on it. So basically brushing the product into the brows. I did apply the product onto the brows, but I feel like maybe it could have made it a little bit better if I would have brushed it into the brows. I still got a beautiful finished look, but you know, who knows? We'll definitely try that out with the next one. So then we used our Deluxe Beauty Boo Balm, the Boo Beauty Bar Deluxe Balm, and we applied it to both brows. When I did this step, make for sure you leave this on for 5 minutes. This is not a necessity, but I do like to do this just because it applies more nourishment back into the brows that could have been taken away within step 1. This is not saying that if you don't apply this step, the step 1 will take away any nourishment. This is just something that I prefer to do. So then we applied step 2 onto the left side of the brows. And then once we were done with that, I made sure to push it into the brows. As you can see here, I focused more trying to make sure I got it everywhere that I could get it. Then I put the saran wrap on the brows. Now I will tell you, the saran wrap is not fun to be trying to fight with when you're trying to place it onto somebody's brows, because one little turn or twirl, it's tangled into each other. So definitely annoying, and eventually I am going to find something to make this easier, but for now we're dealing with that saran wrap. Now once step 2 is done, I did wipe off that product, and you will see I kind of caught up here with step 2 to go ahead and apply step 3. And then for step 3, make for sure that you leave this product on the same amount of time that you left step 1 on. So since we left step 1 on for 12 minutes, this is also going to be left on for 12 minutes. And I made for sure that I did go into the brows more this go around. I did apply a little bit more product, and this was just to see if I added more product, does this make the final look better? It did not make the final look better. The only thing that I did lose was product that I could have used on somebody else's brows. Because you see, I applied a lot of product onto her brows. It did not change no results before, or it didn't change any results whether I put more on or whether I put a good amount on. So you'll see me wiping off that extra excess of the product that I did not need. And I did that on the right side, and I also had to do that on the left side. And then once I was done with this, I then applied the saran wrap again. And then once I was done with the saran wrap, I let this sit for 12 minutes. So once we were done with step 2, we moved on to step 3. I had read somewhere where somebody said that they prefer to apply the dye before they apply the actual step 3. So I was like, okay, let's try that out. This is a regular coming client, and she trusts me with her brows, so she didn't mind me testing this out on her. So we did clean her brows up with the remaining product that was on there from step 2 or step 3. So technically we have 4 steps. So yeah, step 3, we cleaned off step 3. And so once I brushed her brows to my liking, then we moved on to the coloring process. I did make for sure that I pulled out my mapping paste or my brow paste to map out her brows. And so once we did that, I shaped them how I wanted to shape them until the shape that they were already pre-shaped, since we had just cleaned them up. And then once I was done shaping the right side, then I moved on to the left side. You'll kind of see me switch the brush around a little bit. Also, I'm still trying to figure out what works best for me brush wise, and how do I want to hold the brush. I do like this brush for tinting, but I don't know about for mapping that brow paste. Since it has it's like a slanted sharp, I think I would prefer to use the one that's like a straight brush. I don't know how to, like a flat straight brush. So now we are applying the dye. Like I said, I did graphite, I did light brown, or I did graphite brown and dark brown. And so I applied this starting off on her tail, worked my way to the top. We did leave this on for 15 minutes total. Before I applied the fixing coloring lotion, I made for sure to grab a lip applicator, and I kind of just went over it gently over the brows to make for sure that the coloring was completely dried before we wiped off any extra excess or whatever was left over. So you'll see me cleaning it up here, just trying to make for sure that her tail is still shaped good. Then we went to the top, and once we got to the top, since the dye was already there, I just brushed it into her brows. That way I'm not applying too much dye, and it's not it's giving that ombre effect. So that's what we did here. So I ain't gonna lie to y'all, when I finished this right side, I was like, great, this looks beautiful. Now tell me why I pulled out this brow string. I don't even like the brow string, but something told me to test this out and just to see how it go. And you can see I was trying to make for sure that them tips of them arches of the brows both matched. The tails was good. And with that second line, I was just doing extra stuff. I ain't gonna lie. Don't even know why I did it. It didn't even have to be there, to be honest. But I honestly feel like this definitely helped me a little bit more. Being able to be more controlled with it. Unfortunately, she was not able to get her brows waxed with me, so she did go somewhere else to get her brows waxed. So at that point, since I had already pre-shaped her brows for her, she did go get her brows waxed and get them pre-shaped with somebody else, making that shape easier for them to work around since it was already pre-made at that point. So here we go. We're starting off with the tail first. You do see kind of where I did accidentally go a little lower than the brow onto the brow paste. Luckily for me, since that brow paste is right there, that dye is not going to affect to be onto the skin in that section. And since I'm going to wipe off that brow paste, it's like it was never there. So that's a good thing about that brow paste. It controls that dye from touching the bottom skin. So now we're going to work our way to the top. You see I'm applying it little by little. A little goes a long way. And don't overthink it. Just apply it as you go. And then once you apply it as you go, then once you get to the top, that's when you brush it in. And so once I brushed it in, that's when I kept that dye on for 15 minutes. And so during that time, when I did keep it on for 15 minutes, I just cleaned up my area. Because at this point, we are completely done with her brows. We don't have to do anything else to them. So we're at the final point. We did also notice in her last brow appointment that she does have a bald spot on her right side. So you will notice that her left side is a little bit longer with the hairs. And so you'll kind of see me try to brush them to even it out. But once she goes and gets her wax, it'll even it out overall. So then once we were done with this, I just cleaned it up around the brow area. Just making sure that the tint is not where it's supposed to be. And so, like I said, we let this sit for 15 minutes. So once that 15 minutes is up, we're going to wipe them off. Okay, so during this step, you will see me use my lip applicator to brush over it a little bit. And the reason being is I'm trying to make sure that the dye is completely dry before I move on to the last step. And that's applying the fixing coloring lotion and also the conditioner. So once I had the final okay with myself to make sure that they were good, then I applied the fixing coloring lotion and I just went through the brows and just took away any paste, any brow string or anything like that. And I also made for sure to wipe the brows really good. Now during this step, I did make a couple of mistakes. One, I should have made for sure that I got the extra brow paste off before actually going back over with the concealer to sharp out the brows. Two, I now need to find a new cleanup option when it's time to take off any of the excess, because you will notice a little bit that the cotton was left over onto the skin, and go back over it to make sure that it was fully clean. So then we moved on to our next step, and that's going to be the brow conditioner. I used the brow conditioner to make for sure I wiped off anything that was extra left over. This also ensures a little bit more longevity for the brow coloring as well. So that was done, and then once we were done with that step, then we moved on to step 3, and step 3 was applying the oil. So if I would have made for sure that I used my brow conditioner the correct way, I could have cleaned up all that extra excess that's under the brow. That you see, it's kind of still whitish pink on the right side. I should have cleaned all of that up before even going to the brow concealer portion, because at that point I feel like it mixed in with the color of the brow paste and also the color that we use on her, and so it kind of gave it like an ashy look. But I did clean it up overall, so it's okay. You notice on the left side I was talking about that extra cotton that was left over. You kind of see it over there, and I had to kind of like go back in and be a little bit more forceful, so it was able to become taken off. But once we were done with her left side, then we applied the oil again, and then once we were done with that, then we moved on to the concealer side. So this is the overall final look of her brows before the concealer. Now as I'm adding the concealer, you can kind of see, like I said, it did create an ashy effect a little bit, so I had to clean it up a lot more than what I anticipated. But what I can say is I'm definitely proud of these brows, because the color tint was so flawless and that it did not fade at all when I did wipe it away. There's so many accomplishments that I did meet during the brow set that overpowered the nose that I did not like during the brow set, if that makes sense. So I'm very happy with how they turned out. I'm so proud of how far I've come within just these 2 months of me learning how to do brows. I know there's so much room for improvement, but I feel like definitely with each brow set I see a definitely improvement within each one. So I'm very proud and thankful for that. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you have questions, drop them in the comments down below, and stay tuned for more videos. Next video drops on Thursday. Peace out.